perished on September 11, 2001 because of Islamic terrorists. You know that, Al-Qaeda. And now, Muslim advocacy group has picked the 12th anniversary of the terror attacks to host, quote, the Million Muslim March to demand social justice from the United States government. But is the appropriate action given the significance of the date? Should Muslims be marching on that date? Joining us right now with his reaction is the president of the American Islamic Forum for Democracy, Dr. Zuhdi Jasser. Dr. Jasser, what are the chances that this organization are a bunch of moderate Muslims who want to get out that they're America, care about America more?
Well, all you need to do is just do a little research on who this group is and what they've said, and they're basically a bunch of truthers who think that America's to blame for everything. The ADL identified not only the organizer, Rabbi Alam, but Kevin Barrett and Issa Huck, some of the leaders on their website, as being just virulent anti-Semites who thought that 9/11 was a conspiracy theory. But beyond these sort of whack jobs who are going to be 1 million minus 999,000, the bottom line is they've got some Islamist groups involved also, American Islamist groups like the Council on American Islamic Relations. Hussam Elouche from LA is listed as a speaker. Mehdi Bray with the Muslim American Society, identified by the Chicago Tribune as sort of the central nervous system of the Brotherhood in America, is also posted as being a speaker. So, you know, these guys are problematic, and they're trying to exploit 9/11. If they were truly patriotic Americans and moderates, they'd be marching on the courthouse steps of the Fort Hood trial that's happening this week to tell Americans that we want the death penalty for Nidal Hasan rather than this circus that they're doing and exploiting the murders and the horrific acts of 9/11.
And you wouldn't need 1 million Muslims to do that. Just 10 would probably do the job. That would help. They also say Muslims continue 12 years later to be victimized by being made the villains of 9/11. You're a Muslim. Do you feel as you've been made a victim?
Absolutely not. America has gone to liberate Muslims not only from Afghanistan and Iraq, but from around the world. It gave our families freedom that we could not get in any so-called Muslim countries. So we need to actually be leading the reform efforts that need to happen to counter the radical ideas rather than blaming the country that gives us freedom. And you know what? The major Muslim groups need to speak up and say that Rabbi Alam and this thing is a circus and the truthers are nutcases and anti-Semites, rather than stay silent and say, oh, it's not us, while their ideas of anti-Americanism spread and radicalize people like Nidal Hasan, the Boston bombers, and others that continue to affect and inflict terror on America.
Let's hear from the man that put this together. He was with Sean last night.
This is a day to remember them and their families. They will never see their parents again. They'll never see their loved ones again. And you want to make this day, of all days, radical Islamists were responsible for this attack. You want to make this a day about bigotry against Muslims.
No, not really. We are standing this day to show Americans that we Muslims, we denounce terrorism, and we want to stand with the solidarity denouncing that heroic effect.
That's not what your statement says at all.
So, I mean, who is this guy, Dr. Jasser?
He is a virulent anti-Semite who talks about the 9/11 barbarism being a false flag for a Zionist operation. I mean, he's just a whack job. But at the end of the day, the silence of other American Muslim organizations and marginalizing him, I think, speaks volumes. We need to lead the effort to say that the ideas of people like this guy, Rabbi Alam, are what radicalize our community into hating America and blaming America rather than reforming our own community against political Islam and groups like the Brotherhood.
But you do, let's say this, Dr. Jasser, if it wasn't for Muslims who do love America telling us what's going on with the terrorists who are in America, we would not have made the progress we have today. If you talk to law enforcement, they will tell you that.
Absolutely. We are at the head of the spear. You can't fight radical Islam without moderate Muslims that believe in the American experiment. That's why we formed our American Islamic Forum for Democracy. We have a coalition of groups that are against the Brotherhood at the American Islamic Leadership Coalition. That's the only way. We are one of the greatest assets for that fight.
Right, and they do. This seems like a bunch of truthers who want to blame the Jews for 9/11. So we should actually point them out from who they are. Dr. Jasser, thanks so much.
Anytime. Thanks, Brian.
All right.